The moment I truly understood how much I had to prove was when my father looked at me and said, "You'll never amount to anything with that dream." His voice was cold, dismissive, but it hit me harder than any insult ever could. In that moment, I knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy. Not only would I have to fight against the world, but I'd also have to fight against my own family. They didn't see the potential in me. I had always been the one they overlooked, the one who wasn't good enough. My dreams seemed too big for them to comprehend. They couldn't understand why I would want to go against the family's established business empire to chase something that, to them, seemed like a pipe dream. For years, I tried to gain their approval, to get them to acknowledge my ambition. But instead, they laughed at me. "You'll fail like everyone else in your position," they would say. So what did I do? I made a decision that would change everything. I decided to stop seeking their approval. I wasn't going to let them dictate my future. From that point on, I set my sights on one thing: proving them wrong. How do you break free from the people who are supposed to support you the most? And what happens when you finally succeed? Growing up, my family's expectations were clear. Follow the path laid out for you. Do what's safe, and never stray from tradition. My father ran a successful business, and my mother always believed in the stability that came with it. My older brother was the golden child, always on the straight path to inheriting the family empire. He was the one my parents always bragged about, the one they believed would continue the family legacy. Then there was me, the dreamer, the one who always thought differently, the one who never quite fit in. I remember the countless times they compared me to my brother, always highlighting how I didn't measure up. "Why can't you be more like him?" was a common refrain. No matter what I did, it was never enough. Every decision I made was scrutinized. Every career choice was questioned. But when I decided to follow my own path, that's when everything changed. That's when the mockery began. "You'll never be as successful as your brother," my father once said, his words cutting deeper than any physical wound. "That's not a career, that's a fantasy." Those words stung, but they also ignited a fire in me. I would prove him wrong, not just for me, but for everyone who had doubted me. The more they dismissed me, the more determined I became to carve my own path. The pain of being ignored and dismissed would become my greatest strength. The turning point came when I finally stopped seeking their approval. I realized I couldn't wait for them to come around. I had to take control of my own destiny. So, I took a step that would forever alter the course of my life. I began working on my own business. The days were long, the nights sleepless, but I had never been more focused. Every challenge, every hurdle I faced made me stronger. I had no financial support from my family, none at all. I wasn't given the luxury of a safety net. I started with little to no resources, but I had something they didn't believe I had: determination. I had to learn new skills, build a network, and fight for every small success. I remember the first time I made a real breakthrough. It wasn't just a small win. It was a moment that made me realize I was capable of far more than I had ever imagined. And when I succeeded, there was no one there to congratulate me, no one to recognize the effort I had put in. But that didn't matter. What mattered was that I had proved to myself that I could do it. I didn't need their validation anymore. The deeper I got into this journey, the more I realized that the strength I was building wasn't just about business. It was about resilience. It was about overcoming the constant doubt and fighting against the expectations that had been placed on me my entire life. The milestones didn't come easy, but they came. My first big contract, my first major recognition in the industry, and then eventually the job offer I had always dreamed of: CEO of a company. But there was one thing I hadn't anticipated: the complete lack of recognition from my family. I thought that when I achieved something big, they would finally see me for who I had become. Instead, it felt like they dismissed it altogether. My father barely acknowledged it. "That's nice, but it's not the family business," he said, his voice indifferent. And my mother? She simply smiled, but there was no pride in her eyes. She was still waiting for me to come crawling back to the path they had set for me. But no matter their reaction, I wasn't going to stop. Every success became a stepping stone, each victory a testament to my hard work. Even when they didn't acknowledge it, I pressed forward. The journey was never about gaining their approval. It was about showing myself that I was capable of achieving greatness on my own terms. The moment came when they could no longer ignore me. I had become a key player in an industry they had once dominated. It was hard to miss. My name was everywhere. My success had become undeniable. And that's when the confrontation finally happened. I will never forget the look on my father's face when I told him I was now the CEO of their competitor. There was silence, disbelief, and maybe even a hint of regret. "You really did it," he muttered, more to himself than to me. It wasn't the acknowledgement I was looking for, but it was the recognition I had longed for, even if it wasn't as grand as I imagined. For the first time, they couldn't ignore my success. But in that moment, I realized something important. Their recognition didn't define my worth. I had found my own value, and that was enough. The day I took over the CEO position was the culmination of everything I had worked for. It wasn't just a job. It was the public recognition of all my struggles, my sacrifices, and my victories. When my family saw me in that position, it was clear they felt a mix of pride and discomfort. I could see the shock in their eyes, the realization that they had underestimated me. But as sweet as their acknowledgement was, it wasn't the recognition I had been waiting for. The real victory came from within. I had achieved everything on my own terms, and that was far more satisfying than any external validation. Looking back, I see how far I've come. I've learned that the greatest strength lies not in seeking approval, but in believing in yourself when no one else does. The journey has shaped me into someone I never thought I could become, a person who doesn't need validation from anyone to know their worth. Family dynamics can be tough, and sometimes the people who should support you the most might be the ones who hurt you the most. But in the end, I learned that success isn't about proving anyone wrong. It's about proving to yourself that you're capable of far more than you ever imagined. For anyone out there who feels overlooked or dismissed by their family, keep going. Your worth isn't defined by others' opinions. Keep pushing forward, and when you make it, let it be a victory for yourself. Success isn't about proving others wrong. It's about proving to yourself that you're capable of more than you ever imagined. Keep believing in your dreams, even when no one else does. Your journey is yours to create.